Greetings, human friends, all you mask fans, mask addicts, mask fanatics. Welcome once again to the Mask Fan Attic, which we call that because we can. This week's mask, as we continue our never-ending pursuit of the glories of the art of monster making, is a little creation, okay, a big creation actually, based on a movie that came out in 1964, Horror of Party Beach. Not necessarily a good movie, but a very entertaining and unusual and strange movie. And if you get a chance to see it sometime, if you've never seen Horror of Party Beach from 1964, watch it and do me a favor, listen carefully to the scientific talk when the people in the movie are trying to solve the problem with science. Listen to the science talk. You know, the scientists, how they explain things and the chemicals that they use and all that. And let me know if you can make any sense at all out of any of it, because I really can't. But anyway, the movie came along in 1964, but The Mask didn't come along until about the year 2000, 2001. And it looks like this. It's simply called the Horror of Party Beach Monster because they didn't really have a proper name for them. I mean, like, this wasn't a Gulgaroid, you know, or a Tralfemadorian or anything like that. It was just one of the monsters. In fact, one thing they kept calling them in the movie, oddly enough, they kept using the word zombie, throwing that around as though this was a zombie. Now, as you can see, it doesn't really look like anyone's, you know, typical idea of what a zombie might look like. It looks more like a sea monster with a mouthful of hot dogs. And I don't understand some of that zombie stuff, but I guess the reason they threw it in there is because this movie may have been the first movie, I believe it was the first, to use illegal disposal of toxic waste as the rationale for how the monsters were created. Now, if you were watching movies in the 80s and 90s, you know a lot of monsters were created because of irresponsible dumping of toxic waste. But I think Horror of Party Beach got there first, because way back in '64, barrels of toxic waste were thrown into the ocean and landed on some skulls. See, a pirate ship had gone down and there were skulls. The skulls somehow grew flesh all over them and became sea monsters with mouths full of hot dogs, as you see here. Now, one interesting thing about the hot dogs, no idea what they had in mind there in the movie really, is was it supposed to look like he had a lot of tongues? Was he supposed to be sort of a Cthulhu creature with tentacles in his mouth? Or, I don't know. But one interesting thing about it is that on a lot of the promotional artwork and the posters and even a comic book that came out that was made of photos from the film, stills from the film with little word balloons for what the characters were saying. All those stills, lobby cards, posters, comics, etc. usually covered this up with drawn-in jagged teeth. So if you were a kid and you saw all those pictures and stills and images in old monster books and such, like I did, you wouldn't have really known that in the movie they have these hot dogs in the mouth going on. You would assume they have big zigzaggy shark-like sharp teeth. Anyway, in the movie, this is indeed what they look like. And do we have a picture? Do we have a still of one of the monsters, you know, the altered artwork? Can we get an image up here for comparison? Can we have it? We don't? Okay, never mind. We won't. Take my word for it, that's what they did. Now, this was sculpted by a fantastically talented monster maker named Jeff Wehenkel. And as I said before, it was about 2001 when this came along. No, don't put the picture up now. No, it's too late. The moment has passed. Get that off. Yeah. Around 2000, 2001, this was created, and it was actually a commission piece for a collector named Ray Shope. And Ray was having Jeff and some other artists custom create some masks for him, and this was one such custom piece. And there weren't that many of them made. Jeff was doing a lot of great mask work around this time, but in extremely small numbers. Most of them weren't really released to the public in any official way, and only a few were made, and you kind of had to be in the right place at the right time. I believe there are still fewer than 10 of these in existence to this day. I think maybe half a dozen are out there. And it was sculpted without eyeballs, just with empty sockets. Now I finished this one myself. I got this one unpainted back in 2001. Finished it myself. The reason for that color is I just thought it would look cool. There's no real basis for that. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure they were green, but I don't know what this looks like on your monitor of choice, but I used green with a drop of blue in it. So it's a little bit of a turquoisey, aqua kind of a color, which I thought looked right with this character design for this creature, but it may have been a different color in the movie. It's a black and white movie, so really what color the monsters are is open to conjecture, isn't it? This is just my take on it. And the eyes, again, were not sculpted in there. Now, you might think a sensible mask artist would sculpt like a half round, would sculpt a dome in there for where the eyeballs are, but Jeff was convinced that in the movie that would be inaccurate, because in the movie they had empty eye sockets with a ball sticking in there that didn't look all that realistic. It had kind of a Muppety look to it, and that you could actually see more than half of the sphere of the ball. You could actually see beyond the widest point of the ball, in other words, and onto the back of it when they turned to the side. So I just took a couple of ping-pong eyeballs, which you can find every year at Halloween at party stores and seasonal Halloween stores and such. They're like party favors, ping pong ball eyeballs. You've seen those, right? You get them in little bags, like you get, spider rings or little rubber mice or little plastic bones and skulls and that kind of thing. They make little ping pong eyes, and they're not the most realistic looking eyes in the world. They're not like glass eyes, obviously, but I thought they'd be perfect for this character. Don't you? And all I did to them was epoxy them on there and then cover the eyeball itself with some epoxy so it would have a nice shiny, glossy, wet, little more lifelike look to it. Not to look silly, it might look silly if you just stuck the ping pong ball eye in there because they're not shiny, you see, so I added the gloss. And then he has nice shiny eyes that still look a little bit cartoony, a little bit exaggerated and comic book like, as in the film, okay, but look alive enough to not look like, like you weren't taking the mask seriously. I wanted him to look like he could actually be looking at something. Now, it's going to be hard for you to find one of these today. That's certainly going to be difficult because, as I divulged previously, there weren't that many made. But it is a cool mask and a cool monster, and they look a little silly in the movie, but then they're so extremely mean and violent and hateful, and they kill so many teenagers that you stop laughing when you're watching the movie, because you think, wow, you guys are harsh, because these monsters are meanies. They are meanies, is what they are. One critic said they attend teen bashes so they can bash teens. That's a pretty good description, I think, of these guys. The very mean and violent sea monster, toxic waste, zombie, hot dog eating, fin fish creatures from Horror Party Beach. And by the way, this was scaled down, no pun intended, scaled down? Yeah. Was scaled down a little bit for the movie. These fins on the side actually stick up a little more than this on the original masks in the movie. So hey, maybe somebody will do one with more depth as far as these fins sticking out to crazy extremes, if they can figure out how to get that out of a mold and make it worth doing. But in the meantime, I am very happy with my delightful old Jeff Wehinkle masterpiece created in 2001 for Ray Shope and barely released, Horror of Party Beach monster. And well, if you're out walking along the beach at night, carry an extra pack of hot dogs with you so that if you see one of these guys, you'll have something to throw to distract him while you make your getaway.